It's where I get to be artistic. Otto is autistic and artistic.
Do you still remember Alaska: The Last Frontier? One of the most popular TV series that changed the narrative, or perhaps restructured how you view reality shows? Have you ever wondered what happened to cast members who took a break and never returned to your screen? Join us as we reveal the mysteries surrounding Alaska: The Last Frontier members that will leave you speechless. Atz Kilcher. Atz Kilcher was one of the earliest stars of Alaska: The Last Frontier. Known for his cowboy hat and warm smile, he quickly became a fan favorite. But behind that strong appearance was a heartbreaking childhood that very few people knew about. From the very beginning, growing up in the Alaskan wilderness proved to be a challenge. His father, Yule Kilcher, who always believed in hard work as the only way for survival, established a homestead raising 8 children, where Atz, being the elder one, had to face most of the family's responsibility. He was often mocked within the family for his physical appearance and faced dysfunction from an early age. However, Atz loved songwriting and saw it as an opportunity to resonate his emotion through lyrics. But it didn't stop there. Atz's way of life had a massive impact on his family. He was strict and sometimes unforgiving too. His daughter Jewel later revealed that he never really cared about the family. But over time, Atz realized his situation and began to reconcile with the family, spending precious time with his children and ensuring them that he was always there to support them. Then, in 2011, Discovery approached the Kilcher family for a TV show, which showcased their way of life in Alaska and their day-to-day activities away from the modern environment. They initially refused to be on camera, but Atz eventually convinced them, and the first episode of Alaska: The Last Frontier premiered on December 29, 2011, captivating viewers with their survival skills and the shared love between the family members. But that wasn't the whole story. With increased work and filming deadlines to meet, Atz started drinking to relieve stress from the grueling work environments. But that small choice quickly became an irresistible addiction, leading to numerous health concerns and improper behavior towards the rest of the family. He was forced to undergo medical treatment, and within no time he'd become free from the clutches of his own addiction. Atz's journey reminds us that pain doesn't have to stop you. Instead, it can be your driving motive to keep going further, and that's what makes his story truly special. Ivan and Eve Kilcher. Ivan and Eve Kilcher brought a different kind of energy to Alaska: The Last Frontier. They worked together with focus, converting raw material into steady shelter. They didn't have much, but most importantly, they had each other. They shared their work each day to bring food onto the table. Their life was simple and filled with joy. But living in Alaska came with its own challenges. One day, in the middle of a harsh winter, Eve's health began to decline. At first, it seemed like exhaustion. But over time, it became clear she was seriously ill. Ivan tried to help while keeping the homestead running. Eve couldn't move from her bed and watched Ivan work tirelessly all day long. Meanwhile, Ivan barely slept. He stayed by Eve's side to support her through the recovery process. Despite everything, Eve carried the strength to slowly recover and continue to do her work. But it didn't stop there. Later in the same year, Ivan injured his hand while chopping wood. It cut deep and had been severely infected by the rusted edges of the axe. Ivan shifted his focus away from work and towards recovery. They reminded us that survival is no longer just about food or shelter. It meant staying alive for each other when it mattered the most. But while the couple found a new rhythm to life, another cast member had her own reasons for pulling back. Jane Kilcher. Jane Kilcher was the most famous member on Alaska: The Last Frontier. She grew up in Alaska, working on fishing boats and learning how to survive in nature. Jane eventually married Atz Lee, and their shared love for nature is what made them connect to each other. She entered the Kilcher family with the heart of a true Alaskan, but behind the scenes, Jane was faced with a heartbreaking incident. Her marriage to Atz Lee had its own ups and downs. They loved each other, but they also faced tough times. Atz Lee's own struggles with injuries and emotional battles affected their relationship. Jane had to stay strong not just for herself, but for her children. There were moments where Jane looked tired or distant, but she just kept going. On screen, they looked like the perfect couple, but sometimes the reality is totally different from what we actually see. Over time, the distance between them began to grow wider, and Jane noticed how often Atz Lee would go off on his own. At first, she respected it. She knew a man needed his space, but soon that space turned into complete absence. They didn't fight much, But sometimes silence can be dangerous on its own. Jane was now left with the choice to distance herself forever through divorce. But she refused to. Instead, she continued to stay strong for her children. Jane Kilcher's marriage was built with emotion and broken by time. Fans connected with her, not just for who she was, but for her way of living life. Tragically Kilcher. Tragically Kilcher always stood out from the rest of the Kilcher family. While others were busy building fences or harvesting firewood, Tragically would head straight into the wild, focused on hunting and gathering food for the family. But one wrong step changed everything. In 2015, during a normal day in the wild, Tragically suddenly slipped and fell off a cliff 40 feet below. The impact was severe, and he ended up with numerous broken ribs, fractured arm, and a broken ankle. However, his lungs suffered most of the pain, making it hard for him to live without respiratory support. While most believed that incident could be the end of his life, Tragically fought through the crisis, not just physically but emotionally too. The recovery was slow, but Tragically returned to the show feeling better and stayed close to the family. Even his relationship with Jane faced consequences. During his recovery phase, there were fewer smiles and more distance between them. Tragically began spending more time alone after the accident. He'd frequently walked into the woods, sometimes building small cabins, and never returned for days. Fans began asking, was he okay? Or was he still struggling? Well, healing is not something you can always see. Tragically preferred a life close to nature, and maybe after everything he found peace living on his terms, away from the rush. But Tragically wasn't the only one who faced a health scare that nearly cost him everything. Otto Kilcher. Otto Kilcher was one of the most beloved members of the show. Whether it's about fixing broken machines or finding ways to protect the homestead through cold winters, Otto was the go-to person. He didn't just work hard, he made work look like something worth doing. Otto learned how to solve problems with whatever he had. During those early days, there were no hardware stores nearby, so Otto had to figure things out on his own. He learned to build, weld, and reuse old equipment. That kind of skill isn't just learned, it's lived. While others focused on passing generational wealth, Otto preferred teaching his sons the true values of life. And viewers loved that about him. But that love wasn't enough to stop the tragedy. After years of pushing his body through the limit, he began to experience severe health problems. He had multiple surgeries on his body, making it difficult for him to do the work. And for Otto, that was the hardest part, not being able to help others in the process. The man who always fixed everything now needed help himself. His family began to take more responsibility. As Otto continued to recover, online rumors began to spread. Some people thought he had passed away, others believed he had left the show for good. But Otto reminded everyone that he was still here, just moving at a different pace. He couldn't lift too much, nor could be moved as fast as before, but still he stayed involved. He gave advice and guided the rest of the family in doing the work. His story isn't about big moments or loud events. It's about steady work and deep love for the family. In a place where survival is everything, Otto showed that wisdom is just as important as strength. Which member of Alaska, the last frontier, did you love the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and click the next video on screen now for another interesting story.